sure I turn that back on. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. We are live from Morning Call in New Orleans. Morning Call is a local beignet and coffee place on the corner of Canal and City Park Avenue. Not only do they do coffee and beignets, they have great food menu, beer and wine, and it's just a fun place to come. It's been open for a very long time, and one of the original beignet places in the city. So tonight we're gonna bring in guests to talk about local sport venues that are happening around New Orleans and the people who make them happen, or typically race motorbikes or whatever, dirt bikes, or any event that could potentially bring a little bit more promotions to our local events to help out with getting more people to, for example, the tracks or anything really. Coconut Beach out in Kenner, or White Sands Volleyball Beach in Elmwood. All those are great places to go and visit, and just things that you can do that you may not even know were there. So tonight we're going to bring that to light for different places, and that's what we plan to do. So tonight we brought in a sport bike rider who has been riding sport bikes for a few years now and really caught on to the sport and switched over to riding with organizations, and we're going to bring him in and just take time to welcome Dallen Helmer to the show.
Hi, everybody. Dallen Helmer. Thank you for bringing me on the show. I ride sport bikes for most of the track days. I got into a little bit of racing, but not much. Maybe planning to do a little bit more later. But thanks for having me. And
well, thanks for joining us. And so tonight we're just going to do a few questions for you and get some information about, where you came from, how you've been, and where you're going, kind of stuff. And after the show, just pop into the chat, and there'll be Q&A if you want to ask Dallen questions later on. After we'll let you know when that's live and open again. But during the show, we're not going to try to keep up with the chat too much. It'll get too crazy. So starting off, Dallen, where did you first pick up riding sport bikes and get into the track?
It was even before the track. When I was young, I always had something between my legs, whether it was a dirt bike or a four-wheeler. I switched back and forth from times. I started racing dirt bikes maybe somewhere in middle school, high school-ish, and I always was very competitive. And then for a while, I stopped due to a career change. I was starting to get serious, being a mechanic, and I always wanted a sport bike. Every time you walk into a dealership, the first thing they put on display is the sport bikes, and that's the first thing your eyes go to. And I was like, man, I always want a sport bike, but everybody's like, oh, you're gonna get killed, and all the typical things people that don't like sport bikes say. And then actually Elena, which is my girlfriend, which most people know, her sister-in-law actually got a bike just on a whim, and then it turned into her boyfriend getting one, and then me and Elena went to go buy two bikes. And then from there on, we started street riding a little bit. I had a CB500F to start. I got bored of that pretty quick. I tripped up to a Gixxer 600, and then I was riding the street for a while, and then I was like, man, I really want to be one of these guys on the TV I always see, or like videos dragging my knee on the ground and going fast around corners. But we live in Louisiana, and we don't have much of that. So I was like, I just looked into it, like, how can I do that, And I found something, just popped up, NOLA Motorsports, and I was like, I know the track's there because I've been there for a go-karting, but I never seen a bike program. And then I went over there and talked to Clint Austin. He runs the bike academy over there for new people, or even a little bit more intermediate to beginning people, get more skills. And then I said, hey, what about a track day? He told me to sign up, and from there I did my first track day June 8, 2019 or 18, one of the 2 years, and I've been hooked ever since.
So NOLA Riding is the NOLAriding.com is what he's talking about with Clint Austin, and he puts on a great program for very beginner riders who, you can pretty much go there and never touched a bike in your life and leave there with the confidence of riding on the streets. He does that program great. He's one of the best coaches that I've met on the beginner level.
Very fast.
He's very fast on anything he rides. But just to having that experience, even to teach you at the beginner level, is great to have. And I even took his course almost 2 years after I started riding and track riding, and I was already in the advanced group and everything. There's just things that are still on the street you don't really take in consideration as of riding, versus to track where everything's open and safe. He teaches you things on the street that could become more of a potential danger that you don't really think about, because track riding is very open. It's very you don't have to worry about cars. You don't have to worry about gravel on the road or grass and all that. So you don't think about those things. But when you take his class, he teaches you about how to avoid them and what to do to get out of that situation safely and better. So we talked about Elena and how she was supposed to be here tonight, and I understand that your dog Maverick isn't feeling well, and so what's going on with him?
He started being real lethargic today, so we took him to the vet, and they couldn't find anything wrong with him, but he's kind of acting a little weird today, so we just kind of letting him rest and just trying to find out what's wrong with him.
He's been having a little bit of problems lately, that I remember, right?
Yes, within the last year, he started developing having seizures, and we've been trying to combat that with medicine if we need to. We've been trying to go more, not put him on meds, just trying to find a source, and we think we switched over to some dog food that should help. It's for neurological problems, and so far he's been doing good, except for today. But we don't know if that's a neurological thing or just maybe he might be sick.
Yeah. I hope the best for him. He's always been my best friend.
Yeah, he's a good
every time
dog.
he comes around.
Good
So
dog.
hope the best for him. Hope he gets there. So back to
Talking about track riding, and so your home track is NOLA, and they actually just got done doing a lot of repairs to the track, and you were just there this weekend, weren't you?
Yes, I was actually on the track, and found out it was not supposed to be, but I was on the track, and I did get to feel the new surface.
So how'd it feel?
From a car view, it wasn't that bad. They did do some work. From the sky point of view, it's kind of hard to see, but from what I've gone to track, turn 16 all the way through to the front straight on turn 1 all the way through past the apex is fully paved with blackish pavement, kind of similar maybe to Barber, but I don't know if this will be the same compound. Don't quote me on that. The exit of turn 4 is now paved. There is a transition line from the old track to the new track, but it doesn't seem to be bumpy. It's really smooth. 5, 6, 7 is ground down. 8 through 14 still the same, and 15 is the same as well. But a lot smoother. I think they did some drainage runoff, so haven't been able to see that yet, and haven't been on a wet track. But a lot of people with the car community were impressed, and there were some. Don't get fooled. There were some high money cars out there. They were running real fast times too. Bikes probably couldn't even touch that.
Right. That's good. I mean, I'm glad to see NOLA coming around and doing great things with their track and fixing it up, and hopefully they get the whole thing done eventually over time. And
I think I did talk to some people while I was there. I think if I get the right, it might be Bone Bros or Barber Bros is actually paving the track. They had a crawfish.
Yeah, it's Barber.
Barber, yeah, that's what it is. They had a crawfish tent over there, and when I talked to them, I told them I was part of the bike community, and they said, oh, we just, this was kind of a tryout, and we're probably paving the rest of the track, and they said they signed some kind of contract. I don't know what the rest of the track means, but they did say this was kind of a test in the water, and it was, if you went out there this weekend, last weekend, it was a really big event, and like I said, they did have some high dollar rigs out there.
just him or both of us?
Maybe just me.
Oh, maybe it was just you. So you've been to multiple tracks. What tracks have you been to?
I have been to NOLA, the big track they call it, NOLA kart track. I've been to Ginnage GP. I've been to Road Atlanta. I've been to, I think that is it actually.
And your favorite track out of all of them?
Has to be Road Atlanta.
Road Atlanta is a great track.
Nice track.
Coming down that hill is an adventure.
It is. The whole thing's an adventure.
And what bikes do you own now?
I had a Ninja 300 and a Yamaha R6. I'm now down just to a Yamaha R6, and I'm planning to maybe heavily modify it or get a little bit more mods than last year. Sold the Ninja, got a little bit of money, gonna put a different motor in it. Motor's pretty worn out. If the odometer reads right, 26,000 miles on that motor.
Pushing it.
That's pushing it.
That's
and
pushing.
I check it every year, and it's good. And valve clearances come in, all the compression's right where it needs to be. I mean, if this motor is stock in this bike, I did buy it pre-owned, it's keeping up with most bikes that are on the track for only maybe a year.
Well, it's an R6. They come pretty fast anyway.
Yes.
You recently raced a Promenade race right before COVID happened. And tell people about that story, because I always find that interesting.
The first time or second time?
The first time right when COVID happened while you're at the event.
That was fun. So this is probably my first maybe first and a half year of track riding, and there's an event they call CMRA. They're mostly local in Texas. They race the three Texas tracks, actually 2 Texas tracks over there, CMRA and CMHRH. They go up to Arkansas and a little bit of Oklahoma, but they do come down to NOLA from time to time. And they came out there last year and the year before, and they were going to do an endurance race. So we were going to do an endurance race. So we got a team together, and we were going to. It's a 300 race. So we had a team of me, Donovan Piper, Cody, and Morgan, and we were all going to race a Yamaha R3. And we were doing our prov knob, which basically a prov knob is basically there's 3 classes in racing. Most organizations run. It's prov knob, novice, and expert. What you gotta do is you gotta be a prov knob. You gotta wear a yellow shirt over your suit to let people know that you're still a new beginner. And you gotta do all your practice runs. You gotta do what they call a mock race, which is you versus all the other prov knobs. There's no first place or anything. It's just just to get you out there racing. And then you have to do a certain amount of events after that. CMRA has a rule where it's kind of, I think you gotta do 3 races without crashing, and then do some, I think 8 hours of corner working. Weir is a little bit different. I think Weir it's 3 races. Without crashing, you get your prov knob off, and then you become a novice, which that means you have yellow plates. Even as a prov knob, you have yellow plates, but you still have to wear the yellow shirt. But we were doing our practicing, and we were just about to do our mock race. I think we were 2 practices away from our mock race, and they called the whole track to the edge of the paddock and basically made an announcement saying the governor of Jefferson Parish or Louisiana, basically in that area, said we have to shut it down because we had more than 400, 300 people there. And at that point, they shut down the whole race, sent everybody home, and shut down the whole CMRA event. And that was pretty disappointing because I was definitely looking forward to it. I don't think I was in shape for it, but it was disappointing.
Are you keeping up with CMRA chat at all?
A little bit here and there. I know they did come back last year, but as of right now, unfortunately, I don't think they're planning to come back to NOLA, but they may change that with the repaved surface.
Well, hopefully. I loved going to CMRA. That was one of the best events to go to for a motorbike at NOLA. Yeah,
definitely. I think it was a good introduction to like what road racing. If you get new road racing, that's what they kind of like. It's like wow, it's an eye opener. Like this is pretty cool.
So you gonna go back racing?
I got the itch, but I don't know. I don't know yet. It is a very high dollar sport.
It is a very high dollar sport, and there, especially when there's not a local event, it's even harder because you got to travel every single time. There's no that one time where you actually, it's only 30 minutes away.
Correct. And I've known people, not myself personally, I've known people spend $2,000-$3,000 a weekend just racing, and it gets expensive.
So you started out track riding for a little while. You did that, and then track day winner comes down to NOLA and pick you up as a coach. Tell me some experiences as you're coaching.
Before or during I'm coaching?
Both.
So funny how I got into coaching. I was riding in an intermediate on my Ninja 300, and I was just starting to get really quick on it, which quick at time on NOLA for 300s around 210, a little bit below. I was running right at 210. There was a coach they call Sean, and he was watching me on a CBR 1000, and obviously he can barely, NCM. I did see Elena's chat. I have been to NCM. I knew there was another track. I just couldn't think about it. I have been to NCM National Corvette Museum. That one's fun as well. But he was coaching. He was watching me. He's like, man, this dude's riding excellent. So he got next to me on a straightaway, which is 1000, and like did this to me, like keep going. And my times are so consistent. I think I was in maybe 0.5 of my own time, just running consistently at 210. And when he got off the track, he said, dude, that was awesome. You look like a Moto2 rider out there. You were just every line you hit, every apex, you were just on the drop, constant. You were doing good. He's like, you need to coach for us. And I was like, coach? I said, I ain't no coach, man. I'm sorry. Like that ain't my thing. I'm not even advanced yet. And he said, no, that's like advanced time, And I was like, nah, I can't do that. So he's like, no, I'm going to talk to John, and we're going to get you coaching for us, because I've never seen somebody ride that good, lap to lap. It's just crazy. So he went to go talk to John and put in a good word for me, and I think next track day winter event at NOLA Motorsports, I was coaching or attempting to coach.
Yeah, and I did a little coaching myself, and I really enjoyed coaching more than pretty much anything I've done. Just to watch somebody go from, a scared rider on the track to advanced level is great to see that progression and how they grow.
Great. And I've had maybe 2 or 3 riders that have been, as soon as they get in there, they're shaky, they're really, really slow, and then by the time they get off the track, they're like, nah, I can't do this, man. This is too sketchy. So walk over, calm them down. Hey, man, what do we need to help you with? What can I do for you? My services are here for you right now. And by the time at the end of the day, they were more confident. I think actually they may have come back for a few more track days after that, and maybe even got into intermediate, which is most people's goal. You know, they want to get that. They want to get that bump. They want to get that told that you did good and get to the next level.
E-bike racing. I'm not keeping up with that at all. So enlighten me on e-bike racing.
I don't keep up with that much. I think it's an interesting way for the sport, especially with all the issues now with gas getting higher and stuff like that. I always thought maybe it was cool to come into the pit with an e-bike, and just like you plug your tire warmers in, if you use tire warmers, if you don't know what tire warmers are, they're blankets that go around the tire, especially if you're using slicks, to pre-warm the tire before you go on track. But plug in your warmers, and then you go plug in your bike. And if you think about it, if you're doing 20-minute sessions, you get 40 minutes of charge time, 20 minutes of run time. I mean, I wouldn't think the battery would kill that fast.
Yeah, I think it would keep up. I remember Moto America had a few e-bike races a while back. I don't know if they're still doing that or not.
I don't think Moto America is. I know some of the small organizations. I think it was Armour when I went to Barber Motorsports, Moto Vintage Fest. They were running an e-bike class. And then MotoGP is full on. Actually, their first race I think is coming up either this week or next weekend.
Did MotoGP have a few e-bike races?
Yes, they have a full class dedicated to it.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Moto America, I don't think ever has.
Advice to new riders. What advice would you give to a new rider who either first time to a track or has never been to the track?
Track riding, don't overthink it. I remember when I first met Tony, one of the few questions was, hey man, do I need to adjust my rear sets? What do I need? Do I need clip-ons? Do I need this? You know, what do I need? And he's like, just bring your bike. And one of the things I did stress to myself when I first got on track was tires. I did pick a good tire, and it seemed the community at the time when I was on Facebook was either a Q3 or a Michelin RS, and that was your two picks. And I did go with the Michelin for a while until I started getting a quicker pace, and I kind of realized they're good to an extent, and then went to a different tire, and then I discovered Pirelli at one point. But don't overthink it. Get a good set of tires on a bike. Even if you got some decent tires, just no Shankos.
No.
That's the only thing I would say. That's what I had
come on, man. Shanko's a great tire.
No, they're square. They're very square tires.
It's good for a car.
Yeah, good for a car and going this way, up and down, not this way. But yeah, just don't overthink it. Get out and do it. You know, get out there, bring a tent. Don't worry about power. You ain't gonna need it. My first track day, I brought a generator. Didn't even use it. Didn't need it. Just thought I would need it. But water, your bike, maybe a few stands, shade, stuff like that, and just go out there and ride.
Right, and I like to stress that a lot too. A lot of people are like, oh, I gotta get slicks, and I gotta get rear sets, and I gotta have clip-ons, and I need track fairings. I need all this to go to the track, and it's like, no, you really don't.
You need duct tape.
Yeah,
duct tape, some water on your bike.
Right,
and gear.
And you can get on the track, and a lot of times all that stuff is at the track, there for you. So you don't need you don't need to bring your own stuff. Sometimes, I remember when we coached with Track Day Winter, they have tape at the inspection area.
Tape,
so
silicone.
they'll tape up some stuff. They'll silicone for you. Now they're not gonna do nothing major like fix your forks or anything, but
yeah,
they'll definitely help you get on the track the best they can. And for a while they had gear rental. Clint Austin again was renting gear. I'm not sure if he's still doing that or not.
I'm not sure. I know at one point it was bikes as well.
Yeah, he was renting bikes also. So hopefully all that comes back, because that was a great way for beginners to definitely get on the track, because then you didn't even need a bike. You can just rent a bike, rent all your gear, and at the end of the day, bring it back, and you're not invested into this whole sport on one track day.
Correct.
Which, 99% of the time people usually get hooked on it anyway, and they invest in it. But
yeah,
it was great to get new people on the track that way, to bring in new riders who might not even had the chance to be on the track because they couldn't afford a $300 race suit. They can just rent it for, I think it was like,
I think it was $100.
$100, yeah.
120 maybe.
Right, and as long as you didn't tear it up, you're good for golden. You're done for the day, and you return it back. And
right.
that I really like that program being open. So hopefully something like that comes back around to NOLA, and the bike community really opens up around there.
Correct. And that was another thing when I was in bike community. I did rent a suit for my first, I think 2, maybe 1 track day. I think after that I was hooked. But I have super small feet, and I started messaging people around, because first thing when people talk to me is first thing they're interested in track riding. Hey, go follow this page, go follow this, So I tell them go follow Gulf Coast Track Day Riders. What's the other one? LA Track Addict, stuff like that. and I borrowed some boots from Ashley, Trey, Brewer, and Natasha, and her foot just happened to fit mine. I got a really small foot, and I borrowed some boots, and actually later I bought it off of them. So her old boots turned into my new boots.
There you go.
And I've worn for a while.
And that's another thing is a lot of people have gear just laying around. So if you
I have extra suit.
Yeah, if you jump onto the Gulf Coast Track Day page or the LA Track Day page, somebody I'm guaranteed has a suit that'll fit you and some boots and some gloves, and you can just borrow some stuff and to get on the track, and just to see if you even like it. That's the thing. So let's switch over to talking about body position, and we have a couple pictures of your first track day and a few recent pictures. So let's talk about the first one, and then it somehow it muted itself again. Sorry, everybody, we kind of muted that. Let's go over that again. Let's switch over back to the other picture.
I don't know how long we're muting for. There we go. Keep that one up.
There we go.
So that one.
Ever since we opened this picture, that's when it muted.
Yeah, okay. So basically, this was my first track day, June 8 of either 2018. I think it was 2018 because COVID did in 2019, right? COVID-19. Right. Right at the end of 2019, we got COVID over here. So this is probably 18. If you look in the far left corner, you can see my foot almost dragging the ground. One important thing I did kind of applaud myself for is my direction I'm looking. One thing on track is very important is vision. And I had no body position at all first track day and didn't know nothing. I look on my camera, it looks like when you're out there, I was hanging off my butt, and it felt like I was hanging way off the bike, and obviously looking at pictures, I was not.
Right, and a lot of people get that feeling like, oh, I'm hanging off as far as I can, and it's like you look at the picture, it's like, no, you're not even close. So body position is one of the things where you just kind of force yourself over there, and if you feel stupid, it's probably right.
Right.
That's the thing about body position. So let's show the other picture again of some awesome body position that you had.
Yeah, so if I go back to the same comment made while we mute, this was actually an NCM. I think this is turn 9 or turn 8. This is called the drag elbow turn. It's got a camber offset to the back, so the turn kind of goes off camera, and it's real easy to lean the bike and real easy to get off. And I think in this picture I was actually following Tony. This was my first time at NCM, and I watched Tony drag his elbow. So you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. So and if you zoom really tight into this picture, you'll see it's actually not touching, but it was touching right before because I was picking up the bike because I was done turning at that point. I had to get back drive to my exit, but it's barely off the ground. It's
there you go.
Right there.
Oh, so close.
Yep, but it did drag. I had the marks to prove it.
Oh, man. NCM's a fun track. I call it the 3 drag strip track. That kind of reminds me of it. All you get is 3 drag strips and a couple of turns.
Yep, a couple tight down, a little bit downhill turns. It seems a great introduction to elevation at a track.
Yeah,
true. I think from the ground zero of the track, it's -14 is the lowest. I think Road A is -35 or something like that. Yeah. It's a high number. It's crazy.
Road A is insane.
Yes,
and
Road A is very insane.
And NCM also has that hard hairpin in it too.
Yes,
that's a complicated turn to make.
Yes, a lot of people miss that turn, and there is a line around it, but it is very tight. It's fun to go into.
So you've been to Barber, right?
I've been to Barber, not on a bike. There was a funny story. I went over there one time when I was mid-track day, kind of doing track days. I knew a few people, and a racer was out there racing for Armor at the time, which was at the Vintage Barber Fest. It was like they put on an event, and then they raced an organization the same weekend. And his A bike broke down, and he needed his B bike that was located at NOLA Motorsports in the garages. And he was asking everybody on Facebook, hey, does anybody want to transport my bike over there for me? And I was like, I kind of do. And it was actually that weekend, it was me and Elena's anniversary. I think we were going to 5-6 years, somewhere around that time. So I was like, hey, you want to pack up and go to Barber? And she's like, yeah, sure. So we picked up the bike, brought it over there, and actually enjoyed, I think it wasn't VIP passes, it was like pit passes, basically, for the Vintage Fest. So
Nice.
Pretty interesting.
Barbara has a great turn 2-3, and it really goes uphill.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the top of the hill, you can't see. It's a blind turn.
Yep.
So all you see is a tower.
Yep, you aim for the tower.
And that's all you can look for is that tower. Well, right before I went out, Roddy Spring told me to just keep going on top of the hill, keep it gassed up on top of the hill, and I did. Well, my bike was geared just, I guess, a bit more differently than his was. I didn't gear it for Barbara. I just keep one gear. I never change gears. And when I got to the top of that hill, that front wheel almost came over the top of me. Oh, I'm never listening to that man again. That was the worst. And then there's Charlotte's Web at the bottom of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have problems with Charlotte's Web. But luckily for us, we had turn 3 at NOLA, which was kind of the same turn. So it wasn't too bad for us. Anything else you'd like to say to the peoples?
Like I said, when I went to Barbara, that was the fresh pavement. I think that was the second organization race on that fresh pavement when they did that. The whole track was paved. It was beautiful.
Let's get the chat up, see if anybody had any questions. If you have any questions, jump in the chat now. We'll stay open for another, let's say 4 or 5 minutes, and then see if we got any questions for you. And then we'll go after the Q&A session. We'll go into upcoming events. Or events that may be coming up soon. One thing Elena wanted to talk about were girls riding on the track. Her and a bunch of other girls who ride with Track Day Winter and other places are really trying to push to get girls on the track. And matter of fact, Judy's here. And Judy's actually one of the girls who do come out to the track days with Track Day Winter at NOLA. And it's really great to see the girl community come out and, do something at this level. It's just because it's not really a girl sport, I guess you'll say. And so to have them come out and actually try it, at least, is just great. And I'm with Elaine. I would love to see more girls into the sport and riding bikes.
Definitely. I don't know if we can either touch on that topic. It looks like we got one question at the
One
very top.
question. Any crashes?
I think I can put those in 2 hands, how many crashes I've had. Quite a few. I think so far one's only put me out of commission. And that was actually my first actual race last year with CMRA. I was going to race my 600, and I actually crashed from running out of gas, and I broke I think it was my right hand. Yes, it was my right hand. I broke it. The bar came and snapped me in the hand right there and fractured the bone right here. They call it a boxer's break, and that's what happened. I had my very first crash. I think Tony watched that one.
I did.
He did watch. He called it. At the very beginning of my track time, I was getting quicker, and I had all lean angle but no body position, and they caught up to me really quick when I was on the kart track. I ran off track, and I pretty much somewhat low-sided myself, but I went down on the left, but I ended up on the right, so I kind of flipped over the bike, and that's a scary experience. I think my second crash was in turn 3 at NOLA on my 300. I was going through, and there's a crack in the ground right there, and as I was leaning over, I was getting on the gas early, and I got on the gas, and my back wheel just kind of hopped over it and just wiped my rear out. Where else I crashed, man? There's a lot of crashes. Turn 1 at NOLA on my R6. So I was testing and tuning my bike that weekend. I just picked up my R6, and I didn't know the steering head bearing was bad. And every time I'd go into a corner, when I brake, it felt like it was over adjusting. And I went to go brake into the corner, and like something just messed up, and it just threw me on the ground. That was a pretty high speed crash. I've also crashed at NCM. NCM, not the first time, my second time there. I was going out, and I was actually going really fast. I was just about to break 2 minutes, which is a pretty big deal over there. And I was doing good. I was on a roll. And some guy came, they call a blend line on the track, where you enter the track and where you actually get onto the race surface. And the dude crossed straight over the blend line. I was fully, looking at the camera, I was fully leaned off this way. And when I popped my head up, all I seen was my front tire going straight to his rear. So as I was picking the bike back up to try to go past him this way instead of turning with him, I clipped his rear tire. Not hard. I was still on the brakes, but as soon as my brake, so I was on my brakes and I touched his rear tire, it just lost my front. And that was actually on GPS, 92 miles an hour, hit the ground. I had an airbag suit, so it did deploy. I did scratch my helmet. My bike was pretty messed up. It was still rideable the next day. I just had to get a new helmet because I had skid marks all over my helmet right there. And that was a pretty fast crash. Obviously the one at NOLA with CMRA Racing, and then my first time at Road A, I crashed. That was a funny one. I got back up. Usually, Elena would tell anybody, usually when I crash, I come right back in the paddock. And there was only maybe one incident, actually, where I didn't come back in. Road A, I crashed. There was, in the very back section, it was soaking wet, and I was doing really good out there trying to beat my fastest time. And I didn't know it was wet back there, and I'm exiting on turn 5, and I feel the bike just moving. I'm like, man, I have no traction. What's going on? Well, I didn't realize it poured in 5, 6, and 7, but the rest of the track was dry. And I was like, oh, it rained back here. I'm getting off. So I took turn 6, and I put my hand up to get off the track because I knew I was done. I was on slicks front and rear. I was done. I was getting off. And as soon as I hit turn 7, there's like this patch in the track they call a sealant. Basically, they kind of sealed over that area. Maybe it was a crack at one point, but as soon as my front wheel touched that, lost the front instantly, and I hit the ground. And I waited for everybody to get off track, and I picked my bike up and I rode back in. And I told Elena, I was like, don't hit the sealant. It's very slick. She said, what do you mean? I said, I just crashed. She's like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, look at the dirt. There's dirt all over my bike. She was like, how the heck did you crash again? And I was like, it just happened. But actually, I didn't feel too bad. There was 3 other bikes that crashed that session, and one didn't make it. One got fully totaled out.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Turn 5, took a bike. BMW, too.
Do you want to answer the question from Brandon there?
What's that one? How do good chicks? Unless they're buying their leathers extra tight, look like normal people, honestly. Not much different. They just kind of look like badass chicks at that point, especially when they walk them and they got scuff marks on their knees and they look like they got a little bit of suits, a little battle worn. Pretty badass.
So the airbag suits, tell people about those a little bit. I've always thought that was a great technology to come out with.
Yeah, so I've owned the airbag suit for a few track days now. It's only gone off once on me, which was at NCM. I crashed and I did feel it go off, and I think it probably saved me because when I fell, I hit hard on my shoulder, and before I even hit the ground, I'm pretty sure that went off because I felt when I got up, I was all puffed. You have to do the right suit. You have to buy the suit for it. So you have to buy an AirTech compatible suit, and then you have to buy the actual vest which goes into the suit. I went with Alpine Star. I actually got the vest from a fellow track rider, and then eventually I bought the suit after, and then it's been pretty good. I got one more charge on it, so hopefully I don't have to use it anytime soon. But the one charge I think did probably save either my shoulder or my ribs that one time, because going down at 92 miles an hour isn't fun.
No, absolutely not. Donovan Piper wants to drag elbow. You got any tips for him?
60 PSI in the rear tire. That's what does it.
That is absolutely the wrong answer.
Do not listen to that. That is a joke in the track community with the advanced guys.
Oh, man. You got to adjust your suspension there, little Donnie. So, to me, dragging elbow is just like body position and just like dragging knee. It'll happen when it's ready to happen. There's nothing you can really do to force it. The more you force it, the worse it is, actually, because that's all you're trying to focus on, and you actually just make it worse than just focusing on your riding and becoming a better rider and then just letting it happen.
Correct. And I know we touched on body position earlier. We had to circle back to that, I'm guessing. Body position to me, I guess we had to reinitialize that question. Do you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay, so to me, I don't think body position gets important until you're about maybe mid-intermediate, maybe getting a little faster time around the track. But I think it's more important on corner exit when you're actually picking up the bike and getting on the meat of the tire, they call it. Because I had a terrible perspective of body position. I thought you had to just be off the bike 24/7, mid-corner, you're dragging your whole body. I was like, man, how are people turning? Because you can only turn so much before your body starts dragging the ground, and at that point, you're at the mercy of your body. If you look at some of my pictures when I'm mid-apex, I'm not leaning off that much. But if you look at a picture after the apex when I'm going to my exit, I'm physically pushing up the bike to get on the more section of meat of the tire so I can get on the gas.
Right.
And that's where I think body position comes important. Like I said, am I the pinnacle for body position? No. I like to get better. I need to learn to drop my elbow a little bit more. But it gets the job done for me. I think my body position slow me down. Probably not. I've seen top level riders with exact same body position as me, and they go way faster than I do. If you follow racing, Cam Beauvier, for example, doesn't have the best body position, but when he had to move the Moto 3, he had to get better body position because the bike just rides differently. He has to have that more hang-off body style, where before he was just doing the bare minimum, and it might also be bike specific. I notice a lot of Yamaha riders, they do like the bare, just enough to get the bike going, but when you have something like I'm trying to think, maybe like a Kawasaki or something like that, you're really leaned off. It's also personal preference. So, but a lot of top-level guys riding bikes, they ride the same bike, they have pretty much the same body position. Especially, I don't know, Yamaha's really weird with it. I don't know. There are a lot of people, they just do that bare minimum where they get their upper off, but they're not dragging elbow,
Right. And, body position is, to me, has always been that thing that I think is taught a little bit too early.
And that's one of the main things novices come, hey, how's my body position?
Yeah, how's my body? Right. And, you know, to me, it's like, you know, get that out of your mind. Let's work on vision and, you know, your placement of everything first.
Correct.
And then, you know, body position will form into itself.
Yes. And Elena, at one point, I think when she was riding behind me, it clicked because seeing where I got off into the corner, she's seen where I was leaning off. She said, oh, he leans off that much? That's crazy.
Right.
So.
But I mean, it also, you know, body position has to match the turn, which has to match your actual lean angle of the bike, you know.
Yes.
And if you're not leaning the bike over and you're in turn, let's see, let me think of a good turn that you don't really need a lot of body position in. I would say turn 8, turn 7.
You don't need it.
You don't need extreme body. You don't need to be hanging off and dragging elbow there. It's just not you actually be hurting yourself because you're getting off the bike more than what you really have to.
Right. I've learned going in turn 8 at NOLA that when I used to hang off a lot, my body would get a lot of drag on it. I kind of more tuck into it, but I keep my head to the right of the windshield so I can see, but I'm not fully like dragging my body or dragging all that wind against me. It's just enough to get the bike turned. Same thing at Jennings. There's a switch over there, left. I think it's 3, 4, and 5. It's a left, right, and a left again. And I see people when novice, they get fully off to the left, fully off to the right, man. Same thing with Road Atlanta. Just flick the bike. Stay on top of it, but get your body to the next critical body position. Like Road Atlanta, I think after that's a hard left. I keep my body to the left most part, but I just flick the bike, hold on the brake so you can trail through there, go, left. Get off and keep going.
So anything else? I think we're pretty much done for tonight. Anything else you'd like to say?
Not that I can think of too much.
Well, thanks for coming down. We're going to go over upcoming events for pretty much everything. Obviously, track day winners coming down April 30th and May 1st to NOLA Motorsports Park. Mm-hmm. And they actually travel to a lot of different tracks, which you can go to trackdaywinner.com and see all their scheduled events of coming up events. A great motorbike organization that you actually coach for.
Yes.
You can learn a lot through them. They're family friendly. They're great people overall. Man, all around, just great people, and a great environment to start riding in.
Yes, definitely.
BFC 48 MMA fighting is coming April 30th to Youngsville, Louisiana. I do believe they're going to be live on the BFC Facebook page, so check them out if you're into the MMA scene and want to see some fighting. Head over to BFC page on Facebook and check them out. Facebook events coming up. The French Quarter Festival is April 21st and through the 24th. The Mud Girl Run is an all-girl run at NOLA Motorsports Park where they have a bunch of obstacle courses and it's all mud stuff. And that's a fun event to go to. I went to the co-ed one. It was just a great time to go through. There's not much pressure to finish in the first time. There's people out there who do push their times and try to finish first, but you don't really have to. It's just a fun event to go to. As far as I found, that's all the events I can find other than small little events going on around NOLA for April and May. So get out to those events and, get out and enjoy yourself sometime. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you all for joining us here tonight for the Morning Call venue. Thanks to Morning Call and wherever he went and for letting us set up here and have our show. We'll be doing this show hopefully every 2 weeks as long as we have a guest that can come on and talk to us. Thanks to the camera crew for, hanging out with us and helping set up and showing up late. Just tune in 2 weeks and join us again as we bring on another guest and talk about other sports.